Where are the waveform expansions, Roland? Where are they? Hi, I'm Zach Marr from Alamo Music here in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications, and hit the like button for making that ridiculous intro. This is our Alamo Sound Lab channel where we talk about all things music related, music technology related. And today we're talking about the worst, best boutique Roland has made yet, the JD-08. And why is it the worst, best? Because personally, this is a personal thing. We did a video on the JD-800, and I'm not the biggest fan of the JD-800. There is an entire community that loves it, and there's a reason that people pay insane prices for them, like $1,500 to $2,800, depending on the time of year, I guess. And so I'm not surprised that Roland came out with this boutique. And so it's the best in a sense because I actually think they did a really good job taking this extraordinarily expensive vintage digital synth and bringing it into a modern form factor. And there's a lot of things that I like about this unit that annoy me about the original. So again, it's the best, worst for me because personally, I don't like the sounds in the JD-800. And so personally, the JD-08 is not for me. But people have been super excited about this boutique, and I'm going to try and be fair in our review and analysis of it. But it's definitely a, is this for you boutique? Do you like the way the JD-800 sounds? It is definitely a sound, an 80s sound. I'm trying to think, 80s soundtrack. There's a whole lineage of kind of a very 80s Roland soundtrack showing up all over movies and TV shows. There's just a whole sound, and we've done videos on the JV series, which really were later iterations of the technology in here. But what is cool, the thing that I think is coolest about the JD-800 and the thing that I think stands out about it is it was a push against, it was the early 90s, it was a push against the trends of the time, which was membrane buttons and kind of complex programming, not hands-on subtractive synthesis controls. It was the complete move away from that. And Roland made the decision to release this behemoth, this beast, with, I think, one of the best design interfaces for digital synth programming. I still think this is up there for knob per function design for a complex synth. There's some stuff that's menu-based, but this is a pretty complex synth, a lot of things that you can do. I think it has something like 8 LFOs, 4 envelopes, what else? I've made a little list. 4 filters that you can apply, 12 envelopes, 4 kind of oscillators, a multi-mode filter. It's a complex synth that rewards deep programming, and you can program it from the control panel, and I think that is unique. There's not a lot of digital synths. I mean, there's menus and touchscreens now, but in terms of the kind of pleasant, brain expanding, kind of rewarding knob kind of sound design, this is really kind of fun to program and kind of fun to get into, and it's a puzzle. And I think that's its appeal. Not talking about its core sound, but it is fun to do different things, and what you can do is very expansive. And Roland did a great job of bringing that into a small form factor, and it had to make some sacrifices in terms of how many knobs. There's not one-to-one for the knobs that made its way here, but it's actually really intuitive and easy to use if you're familiar with programming with this. And in addition to that, it's a little less glitchy and buggy, I think. This is very primitive. There's issues with age on these units and kind of the buttons needing to get cleaned. And the processor is also pretty primitive. So this really is a lot faster. And I think because this is so big, you have to lug it around and to do it's very impractical to have anywhere. This is way more practical, and you get all the fun in the knob programming that you get pretty much in this unit. Some of them are all the way in menus, unfortunately, like the aftertouch settings and whatnot. But It's really, really a pretty great redesign of this. And again, it expands upon what this instrument offers. So let's take a listen so you can get a sense of the sound of the JD-08. I always try, and even in synths that I don't love, I try and pick out sounds that I like and try to make them sound as good as possible. I'm not out to make it sound bad. But for instance, this has all the original presets on it, and there's a lot of really cheesy electric guitar patches because that was the thing at the time. This was the 80s, Van Halen, all those bands, all the hair metal bands of the 80s. That was a thing on synths. You wanted really great, cheesy electric lead patches, and this has plenty of them. I'm not going to focus on those. I'm focused on the patches that I like. But again, this is an error piece. This is, if you like that sound, this is pretty perfect, and you don't want to spend, and again, it's the best worst for me, but best in a lot of ways, because this really does make this a lot more affordable and accessible. So let's listen to it, and we can conclude with some final thoughts. So there you have it, the JD-08. I forgot to say what the joke was at the beginning, but the joke is, even though Roland did a great job translating this to this, they didn't add, there's like 108 waveforms that make up 4 different oscillators or kind of tones, the basic building blocks for a patch on here. And there was expansion cards that you could use to expand the waveforms. And it would be a no-brainer just to add those into a JD-08, I think. I think a lot of people's comments have been, why didn't they add the fairly rare and hard to find expanded waveforms into this module? Maybe they'll do it in the future for pay-for-fee download, I'm guessing. But that would have been really cool. That was, people have been complaining, and so I thought I'd do that as kind of a joke, and an unfunny joke, but a joke nonetheless. And other cool things about this that I didn't mention earlier, but I'd be remiss to not mention, it has expanded polyphony, it's got a sequencer and arpeggiator, which really are great tools for sound design and for having fun, which I think the boutiques are often a lot of fun to just take with you. I've had to travel more lately, and I've been like in the hotel room, I'm like, man, I wish I had a boutique with me because that would be fun. Just put my headphones in and do some programming. And this one would be a really fun one to take because it stretches you from a sound design standpoint. And I think that's part of the magic of the JD-800 and the JD-08. It's a really good way to explore more complex sound design without having to use a computer. Again, not my favorite palette of sounds, but there's a community that loves them. I do think it's fun to play with, so that's my synopsis on it. Would love to hear your thoughts. We're going to do another video that compares the observations between the JD-800 and the JD-08 from a sound standpoint, but just wanted to do this quick overview video. So if you have any other comments, leave them below. Would love to hear from you. And thanks for watching. If you want to talk more, find us at alamomusic.com. If you didn't hit subscribe, appreciate you hitting subscribe. And until next time.